Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Everyone has the agenda in front of them for today's meeting. Are there any revisions or corrections or additions, to the agenda? I would like to note that Ryan is with us this afternoon, and so I didn't plan on him to be here today. Thank you for being here, Ryan. But he has made time in his schedule for him to join us today. So I'd like to actually put Ryan up towards the beginning of the meeting because he is on a short time frame here. Would there be any other additions to or changes to the agenda? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Deb has provided the minutes. I know it's going to take a while for you to read them, so I would ask that we just hold those off until later on in the meeting. Dennis is not able to join us today. He has asked to be excused. He had a procedure yesterday that was supposed to be a short procedure, and it took a lot longer. So he has not yet been released from the hospital. However, he is doing well. We have Becca here from the Recreation Department.
Oh, hey.
Welcome, Becca. Thanks for joining us. Do you have anything that you would like to say?
No, I'm just here to kind of observe today. I'm in the works of getting my next year's programs and events planned, so I just kind of want to see what's going on and get any ideas or any input.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today. Greatly appreciate it. And just a note.
I will talk to you after the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a note, there will be a holiday market tomorrow.
Yep, from 4 to 7.
At the Bath Community Center. Santa will be there and everyone else.
Thanks for the shout out.
So Ryan, welcome. I don't know that you know all the members of the Senior Services Advisory Board, and I don't know that they all know you. So perhaps we'll just start with introductions, if that's all right. As you know, my name is Judy Gardy, and I've chaired the Senior Services Advisory Board probably for the last 7 years. And I'll just let our members introduce themselves. Would you mind starting?
I'm Helen Murphy.
Cheryl Kellerman.
Nancy Portland.
Dana Conley.
Doug Johnson.
Jean Jones.
Ben Barker.
Thank you. So Ryan, one of the reasons that we asked you to come to a meeting today is that we'd like to know from the perspective of the trustees what you see the role of the Senior Services Advisory Board being and how we can best serve you, as we feel one of our responsibilities is to advise the township trustees. And so we'd like, from your perspective, to know how we can best do that and how we can be most helpful for you. Thank you.
Do you want to sit up here with us and talk, or do you want to?
No, I'll just talk loudly. This doesn't maybe the batteries are dead.
Okay, it's kind of on.
So good afternoon. I'm Ryan Fuenslis. It's good to see some old friends here and some new friends here. As you know, due to our previous supervisor's resignation, the board, including Sherry, which I appreciate, made me the supervisor for this last year of our term. I am excited to talk to you all about committees. I served on the board back in 2012 to 2016. And we did a whole lot more with committees at that time. We did training, we did thank you celebrations, a holiday party. I don't know why that stuff went by the wayside, but I would love to get back to that. The time and energy you all give, I don't feel like we're thanking you enough, that we're appreciating that enough, you and all the other committee members. Raising your hand in a community to spend time in this boardroom and talk about, municipal issues. It's not always the sexiest thing to do and the most fun thing to do. So the folks that raise their hand to do that, I really appreciate that. And I appreciate appreciate all of you. We used to do training for committees. I would like to get back to that, especially in this, as Judy said, like what is the role of a committee, especially an advisory committee versus a statutory committee, right? Like your role is different than the planning commission's role. Equally important, but different how it functions in municipal government. So I'd like to do more training and work on that as well. I think committees need to have sort of a stated charter. Back in the day when Troy was our superintendent, every committee went through a chartering process to describe what the role of the committee was. I'd love to get back to that. I think it is unclear, like how do you advise us? Well, how do we ask you to advise us? It's unclear to me how we get those messages to you and from you, and I'm including all of the committees in that. So I think we've got some work to do on that as well. How do we let you know what we're interested in you all doing? And how do you let us know the work that you're interested in doing so that we're on the same page? I had this conversation with the Planning Commission last night too. It's such a waste of time for folks like you to get in a room and talk about an issue for an hour and maybe multiple meetings and then send it up to the board and the board says, actually, we're not interested in this. Such a waste of energy and time. So we've got to figure out that board and committee connection better. And you know, you have Trustee Pellerman on your committee, and that's one point of touch. But the full board may have a different view than any one board member that sits on all of these committees, right? And so the burden that is on Sherry and me on the Planning Commission is to try to represent the full board, even sometimes when you don't agree with what the full board has done. So that's an awkward place for each of us individually to be. So I think it's better for us to have a better communication from the whole the whole committee, rather than just through one trustee or other board member. I think you all should be staffed. There has to be a township staff member at your meetings. You have to have that connection to the staff. The staff has to tell you, like, hey, we can't do that. We can't do that. There's a law about this. There's an opportunity to do that. And I think if you don't have someone staffing your committee, it breaks down that communication even more. So I've asked the superintendent to figure out who from the staff should be staffing this committee, so you have a more direct connection to the staff and to the township board. And she's agreed that that will happen.
That will happen, okay. Can we interrupt you and ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said you've asked her to do that, so you've asked her to do it, so we are to expect someone from the staff, maybe at our next meeting or the next?
That is my expectation.
Okay.
At the next meeting, you will have a staff member. I don't know who that will be. I asked her to figure that out. It may even be Becca. We'll see who that makes most sense.
Okay.
Should there be someone that is familiar with the senior center and maybe oversee? Supposedly someone that we're supposed to
Advice.
advise
Oh,
to, or just,
I don't know about advising, but like you said, communication, there are things that can happen, and we're trying to prevent a waste of energy here.
Right.
And I think that's a very valid perspective, and it's much appreciated.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It has to be someone who has a touch on the senior center. There may be some restructuring happening with the staff. You know, our township has grown so much and the demand for services has grown. I think that's exciting. It's about progress. We as an infrastructure here at the township haven't always evolved to keep up with that. And so I think you all, seniors in our community, general members of our community, are sort of demanding that the township do more, do better, be more efficient, have more outreach, have more programming, but we haven't right-sized the township staff and the programs and structure to be able to respond to that. So that is the other conversation I've been having with the superintendent, who absolutely agrees with that. We've got to find a way to meet the community where they're at so that we can better serve you all and the folks that you represent. So that's the other piece that's sitting in the front of my mind, is how do we make sure there's enough staff doing the right things with the right people to support both you as a committee, but also our general public. So those are the things that I'm thinking about. The other thing that I would mention is I think there is a role for Friends of the Senior Center group to be created. A group that can do the fundraising that you all want to do. You know, Judy knows this because she's on the Friends of Park Lake. But a group that has more flexibility, isn't part of the township, can sort of run their own thing, doesn't have to worry about the bureaucracy here, doesn't have to get permission to do things, something that's a little bit more flexible. I think that is an idea that we should explore, so that some of the work that you want to do that I know the township administration has been frustrated by could be parked over here, that the township administration doesn't have any say over. It allows you, and I say you all, it doesn't mean that you all would be the committee, but it allows that group to be able to do the things, fundraise, advise, advocate, show up at board meetings and say, hey, board, we want your attention on this, without it being an awkward piece in terms of how we are advising and how we're structured. So I think that's an idea to pursue as well.
To me, that would be a duplicate,
Redundancy.
Yes.
That was the first word that came to my mind.
duplication of work. I mean, we can do
Well,
it.
we think we're supposed to.
We see that as our role, raising money, advocating, and advising. Is that not our role?
I don't think those things are all your role, no. I
What
don't
is
think
our
you
role?
should be raising money. I think you should be advising the board. I don't think you should be getting involved in programming. We have staff for that. I certainly think you should be advising on that, but providing the actual action should be a staff. And if we don't have the right staff or we don't have enough staff, that's a piece where you all could say, hey, we're undervalued here. We want the senior center to be open 5 days a week. We want programming. That is the stuff that I think you all can advise on, but actually providing the services and doing the fundraising, that actually is a liability for you all. There's rules and regulations on how we should be handling money and funds in the township, and it puts you all at risk, legal risk. If that money were to disappear, or someone thought that the money wasn't counted right? Like that should be a risk that you all are taking. It should be our staff who are taking that risk, who are supported by the administration.
And you said it should be the role of Friends Parkway? Friends of the Senior Center?
No, that would be separate. They would be able to do their own fundraising because you wouldn't be under the township's guidance.
Everything that you have stated that we should be doing, or that group would do, we have asked for. We have been to the board saying, hey, you have people over there employed that are not doing what we need the senior center employees to do.
Yeah.
We have asked for activities and we get nothing. So you're saying, and we shouldn't ask for activities? We've asked Karen, I've sent her emails and say, can we do this and this? And I get nothing back from her.
Right.
And we are tied, our hands are tied to the staff. We're not allowed to talk to the staff about that.
Which, yeah, oh, okay, I'm going to say something. Thank you.
Okay,
I want to interrupt you. Go ahead. You keep
But
going.
Ryan, we're not taking this out on you.
No, I'm just
Okay.
taking some notes here so I make sure
I don't want you to think it's you, it's what we've been through for the last year.
Yeah.
And that's more than a year,
Right.
and we're getting no cooperation. But everything you said, we've tried. We've
Right.
tried to tell you
So
guys
if
on the
you set up
board.
a new committee for it, it's redundant, and it doesn't get anything more done, it just frustrates more people.
Well, it's hard to understand why something called the Friends of the Senior Center would get, what I hear when you say that is they would receive more respect. They would receive more of a welcoming of their ideas than you get, because we consider you to be quasi-staff. So because of them, if we had created them, they might have a better chance of being successful than you've been. And I think the problem is with our staff. I don't think the problem is with this board and how we function. I think the problem is the fact that we are not respected. Just today, we got our response from Karen saying, I won't be there today. Now, I sent my letter, and you read it, and I'm very grateful for that because I couldn't attend. And that was over a week ago. And in my letter, I explained this lack of communication is disrespectful and unprofessional, and yet it took till today for that response to come to Judy with an additional, do you have that email, what she wrote in that thing about how she felt it should be mentioned that Ryan has a job?
Right, Ryan has a job, he won't be at your meeting.
Well, no, her response was, I was going to print it, I'm sorry, that I feel I should let you know that Ryan has a full-time job and is the executive director of a very large nonprofit. Now, she feels she should tell us that. Why? What is the point of that? Because she thinks we're ignorant, or
She said, I will not be attending. She said, at 9:08 this morning, she said, I will not be attending today. I should note that Supervisor Finland's Bliss has a full-time job as an executive director of a nonprofit. She sent that to me, Ryan. You know, I know exactly what you do.
Yeah.
We've worked together, not in this setting, but in the community.
Right.
that was disrespectful. That was condescending. condescending, and it was snarky. And it's not okay. It's not okay for her to speak to Judy that way. And she does repeatedly. And it's not okay, and it needs to end.
Yeah.
And so when you say, that we want to create a friends of, I think, why? Because we can't get staff to be respectful? That's not okay.
Yeah.
We're sitting here, we're committed, and we want to be of service to our community. As you said, and I really do appreciate what you said about, we don't want you to sit in here at time waste, but there's no reason that we can't have communication back, other than, I don't want to speculate as to why this is happening. I really don't, because all that comes to my mind are things that are very unflattering to staff. And that's not productive for us. We want to work with staff. We want them to be respectful to us. We want to show them the same respect. We don't want to do quid pro quo. I thought your response was extremely respectful. But is it, we're old? What is it? Like, why are we being treated like we're ignorant? We don't understand professionalism. No one was expecting you to be able to drop everything and come. The fact you did, we are so grateful for that. That's wonderful. But we appreciated the fact you told us you weren't going to be able to come. That is what I really appreciated. To actually hear from you. So when you were able to come, that just took it up 2 or 3 notches. So we get it. We've worked our whole lives. We've been in different professions. We bring a lot to the table here. And we don't need to have things mansplained to us. No offense at your gender. We don't need to have things mansplained to us like that. And it's not okay that's happening. And we're looking for some help with that. We really are. And I don't know who has the power. Is anyone in a position of authority over the superintendent?
Yeah, the board is. Mm-hmm.
We'd like some help with that.
I hear you.
We really would.
I
It's not okay.
appreciate that. I agree with you. It's not okay. You deserve timely and respectful communication, but also so does our staff. I think they're feeling the same way that you all are feeling, hurt feelings, disrespect, not knowing who is doing what in the place for folks. So it's obvious you have a relationship breakdown, right?
They could come to our meetings. I mean, if they want to know what we're doing, they should attend our meetings.
I don't disagree with that, but the hurt that I hear from you, I'm telling you I hear from our staff as well.
Okay.
And so I think we need to repair the relationship.
Absolutely.
I think
How do
we
we
need to
do
have
that?
that respectful communication. I think we should have another meeting, whether it's in a month or whatever you want to do it, and sit down and hash these things out. You're absolutely right. You deserve communication. You deserve to be staffed. You deserve to have a voice. And our staff also deserves to be able to make decisions and actually run the senior center in our programming. So we've got to right size where the work should be done and who's doing what. Because I hear what you're saying, that you have ideas and thoughts. I hear from the staff that they have also had ideas and thoughts and that they don't work, and so they're not going to do that again. I think we've got to break all of that down. I think there's a lot of baggage that has come from the staff side, a lot of baggage that has come from you for years and years and years. I used to sit on this committee when I first served in 2012 to 2016, and we were talking about some of the same things then. So we're talking about a decade of this breakdown. We've got to find a way to work better together.
But Nancy and I also have sat on the senior center side and
Yeah.
both staff over there, and we did not have these problems. We did not. We came to every this board meeting. We were here every month. We took their ideas and we worked together.
Yeah.
So it's
When I was on this board years ago, the director of the senior center, who's Jenna now, I don't know if that's her title, but was at our meetings every month. She was at our meetings, so we got feedback. I'm not interested in doing any more fundraising because what are we fundraising for? Really, we can't. We have suggestions and they're turned down. And now I did mention to Jenna the other day, just as a member, just as a patron of the senior center, I would like her to look at moving some furniture around so that we have more room at the end where we play cards. And she said, well, she would have to contact maintenance and so forth. And I said, that's fine. I said, just tuck it in the back of your head. I said, if you did this and if you you did this, it would give us more room at that end to play cards. And I didn't want it to come from this committee because then for sure it would be shut down. So it's like, I just mentioned it to her as, you know, and the seniors at the senior center have ideas, but they bring them to us and then they're shut down. So it's like, no matter what we do, you know, it's like, I'm sitting here every month, but I don't know what we can do. What can we do?
Yeah, I think that's really fair. I think it's important to
It's
remember
not fair.
that you are an advisory board. So I'll give you an example. I sit on the planning commission right now, and it is not rare for us to send up a new policy, a new ordinance, a new idea to the board, and the board not to accept it. The board to decide we don't want to take that action. So your committee is not the only committee moving information to the board or the staff that doesn't get done. So I want to be very honest. Every idea you have isn't actually going to happen, right? Because you're brainstorming. You're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. So I don't want you to hear that as disrespect, but I understand that you feel disrespected at the lack of communication, the lack of reasoning for why ideas might be taken out. You deserve it. Everyone deserves it.
I called Betsy a long time ago, and because I got the card from the front desk, and he was the one I was supposed to call to ask for additional handicap spaces at the senior center, either across from the entrance or on the other side, additional handicap spaces. He never called me back.
Are we supposed to come to the board? I wanted to take a trip to Brahmas, and I asked Jenna to do it. It was one of the things I emailed to Karen. So I'm going to come to the board, waste your time, and say, hey, board of trustees, can we plan a trip to Frankenmuth?
No. No.
But we can't get through Karen to do that.
I hear you. And that's why
we
we
can't
have
get
to prepare.
communication
That is
from
not
our
board
anyway.
level decision.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
to be honest, you as advisory board members should not be calling facilities to ask them to do stuff. That's not your role either. So you've got to have staff at your meetings, staff to tell you, like, we're going to do this, we can't do this. Someone who's going to lead that effort that you can then advise. And again, all those ideas aren't going to be taken up.
Oh, absolutely.
But obviously some of them would, right?
I mean,
So we
you
could
could
wait a year and a half.
to plan an outing to Frankenmuth. One little piece of paper for a
I hear
sign.
you.
We've been waiting over a year and a half for a movie and pop movie. And Jenna said she was gonna do it. We've been waiting a year and a half. We don't have it yet.
Yeah. I hear you.
We're going to have staff here at our next meeting, so what else is our role then?
Advising on senior services writ large. So I know a lot of your work focuses on the senior center, but I've heard Judy speak at the board over and over and over that she's thinking about the big picture of seniors and that entire geography behind you on the map. I think that's a place where we are weak in programming. What are we doing outside of the senior center for our senior community? I think that's a place where we can come up with some programming ideas, and that's the piece I think we could do some outreach.
So I go to the library, I went around to every table at the senior center, and I asked if they would be interested in a technology course, gadgets, how do we stream, how do I take that app off my phone, whatever. Every single table was interested.
Yes.
One of our responsibilities in our master plan, in our strategic plan, is to collaborate and create partnerships.
Yeah.
So I went to the library. They have adult programming. They do teach technology. I asked them if it would be possible for them to come to the senior center and do a technology gadget workshop once a month. They were very excited. So I went to Jenna and I asked Jenna if I could set up a collaborative meeting between the senior center and the library to discuss this gadget workshop. And I was told that is none of our business. We stayed out of that by Karen while she was on vacation. It must have PO'd her off so bad while she was on vacation that we would be trying to create collaborations with community partners that she got online and sent me an email that said, stay out of that. That's none of your business.
Yeah, she'll send an email when she's on vacation, but she won't respond when she's invited to meeting after meeting after meeting. She won't respond at all.
I
So
hear you. I think
what we do
you
here,
need on both sides.
but what we hear is, you're not the boss of me. And here's the difference. We're sitting here coming to you and coming to this town and saying, we are here to serve you. we're not getting service. We're not being served by public servants. I used to work at LabQ, and I remember having someone next to me say, well, that last member gave me attitude, and I threw it right back at them, very proudly. And I said, but you're paid to be polite. You're paid to be respectful. They're not. It's nice if they are, but they don't have to be. We speak our minds, we want to get things done, and it's like we have to do this delicate dance around feelings. We're just communicating with you what people are telling us, and all I'm getting back is, you're not the boss of me. I don't have to talk to you. You just stay in your own lane. That's not okay. That is the wrong perspective to have. We should be serving each other.
I agree.
And that's, I really feel like that's all they're hearing. When we say, hey, we're hearing this from the seniors, not your business. Don't tell me what to do. You're not my boss. That's not a helpful perspective
Not
to
even
have.
simple things like a greeter at the front door, someone who will take the money at the front door and tell people who are new that they're welcome and where the bathroom is, where to hang up their coat. We've asked time and time again for name tags so that people can start to greet people with their first names. We can't get simple things.
Yeah, I think those are reasonable requests.
Um,
I also want to
Where do we
reinforce,
go with them?
the staff has the right to make decisions about the senior center, so they may not take
So
your...
we have a community conversation, and it's one of the top priorities. Greeter at the door.
No, I hear you, Judy, I hear you.
So what?
I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I want to reinforce that
We're
not
asking.
all of your ideas will be implemented.
But we know that. And saying that over and again, I'm sorry, that is a bit condescending. I know you don't mean to be. I really do. But we get it. We don't expect all of our ideas. But no ideas are being responded to. And we have unhappy people in this community, and we share and say, hey, this is something that's really wanted. And I truly feel like it just gets their hackles up, and they think, we're not going to do anything you say because you're not our bosses.
Right, and I was in there the other day dropping off supplies at the senior center on Thursday. Middle of the day, people were playing cards back there, and I was dropping off supplies for the senior center. There was nobody in there that greeted me, recognized me, told me where to put anything. I thought we were paying someone to be there. And COVID is over, if somebody's being paid, they damn well ought to be there, in my mind.
They're also being paid the director's wages no matter who they are.
They should be getting minimum wage if they're doing
They
minimum
are
work.
getting paid the director's wages on Tuesday and Thursday, no matter what their
They
job
weren't
is.
there.
But
No, look, she's saying they're being paid at the level
At the
of
highest
program coordinator, even though she's not there.
And we're paying her because she works at home. So we're
Paying her and her.
and whoever's at the senior center on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're paying them at the higher wage of the director, and we're also paying the director to work at home. Why can't she work at the senior center? It's open.
I think this is a really good example of what makes the staff mad. It is not the role of this committee to manage staff, to talk about wages. You may disagree with it, and I might disagree with it.
Okay,
But
but
it's Karen's role to run the staff. And I'll tell you, there have been times I've sat across the desk from Karen and said, I don't agree with it.
It's the board's job to manage Karen,
It is.
and it isn't happening.
It is not our job to tell Karen how she should manage her staff.
it is not your job.
It is not the board's job to do that. We supervise Karen. If
So-
she is not doing a good job, we have the right and responsibility to hire, fire, review. But it is not my job or Sherry's job or your job to say, you need to do this with the senior center director. That's
Right,
not the role
right.
any of us play.
I am a taxpayer now. I have a taxpayer case on me.
Yeah.
Why are you paying two people for the same job when they're not, when no one's around? Why are you paying a director's fee to two different people on one day?
I don't know the answer to
Well,
that.
then who knows the answers to that? How do we get things fixed?
Karen does, but it is not your role to manage them. You may disagree, it may piss you off, and that is fair, but it is not yours or our role to tell her how to manage her staff. If there's
So
problems
Karen
in the
can be
township,
right,
we need to hold her accountable
She's
for
your
that. That
employee.
is our role.
She's your employee.
I understand.
And I'm
So
not-
why can't
Senior
you,
center staff are her employees.
right, but why can't you give directives to your employees?
That's not how the relationship works. I work for my own organization, as you heard. I have a board of 18 people. None of them have the right or the responsibility to tell me who I should hire, how much I should pay them. It is my responsibility as a director. Now, if they lose faith in me, if we lose faith in Karen, that's where we have to step in and say, listen, we've heard members of the community are angry. We've heard the senior center isn't working, and have that be part of her review. But it's not my role to say, you know what, Karen, that employee cannot work from home. You have to make that employee come here. That's not our role. I don't like it either. I'm telling you, I don't understand that either, but we have to respect the roles that we
Okay.
have.
So I'm not happy with that.
I hear you.
No, listen, let me finish. I'm not happy with that. So how do I let you know as a board? Do I write you a letter, say, this is what has come up, I'm not happy with the superintendent's position on this, and that's it?
Write a letter, show up at a board meeting, send all the board members an email.
Okay, that's, all right. If that's the only thing we can do, then I will do that with my complaints about the superintendent.
That is absolutely what you should do.
Okay,
And then we as a board, including Sherry, have to decide, is this something that we want to take up in an annual review? Is this a fireable offense? I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying like that's the decision making we have.
and I am mad, but I'm not mad at you.
No, I hear it. It's okay if you are mad at me.
Okay.
It's okay. We know we've been for a long time.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But, I had a board member at my board meeting for my organization was yesterday. I had a board member say to me, I think you need another deputy director. I think there's too much on your deputy director. You should hire someone else. But it was advice. It wasn't direction. And I don't agree with that, so I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And at some point, if they think I made the wrong decision, they're going to have to hold me accountable.
Okay, so, and I have no problem with that, but I would like to know that, okay, yes, I heard you, Dana Conley, I heard what you said, but this is the decision I made. I would like to know that you at least thought about it, had enough respect for me to give me an answer about what is being done. or
I
not.
think that is absolutely reasonable for you to give.
Okay,
For all of us.
so
Yes,
everyone.
absolutely, for anybody who emails any
Well,
board
we'd like
member.
to see that start happening.
And
I hear you.
okay,
But I want to be clear, we've got some hurt feelings on the other side that we also have to.
absolutely.
And I don't know where this all comes from, and I don't think it's helpful for us to rehash things.
Right.
But I do think it's helpful for us to reset the relationship.
Okay.
And my point about the Friends of the Senior Center is not that I think they will be more successful or more respected than you. I think it's a place to park some of the activities that you would like to do that may not be appropriate for an advisory committee. Fundraising is a great example of that.
Okay.
If you all want to fundraise for expansion or for programming, I think that is wonderful. I think that is great. Our other folks in the township are not doing that. But that is not a role of an advisory committee. You could have this nonprofit over here that does that, like the Friends of Park Lake.
Okay.
And that exists concurrently with a Park Lake advisory board. So there is an internal and an external, and I think this might be a good fit for us.
Is there a Park Lake Advisory Board?
Yes.
Okay, so you do have to.
There's no formal relationship between the Friends of Park Lake and the Park Lake Advisory Board. There's no official relationship there.
So do you get anything done as Friends of Park Lake? Do you get things done that the board can't get done?
Shall we talk about the derail?
No,
I don't think it's advisable to have that discussion right now.
no, but I don't see the purpose of Friends of Senior Center.
I don't either.
Well,
No, there's no
he
point.
just,
Because anything they want to do has to go to the superintendent. And so what difference does it make if she tells them no or tells us no?
because we would
It's a
have,
different
we
name.
also have a trail of thoughts and processes that went from us to the Friends to Karen, that we can, if we don't like the outcome, go back to the board and say, hey, board, this is what happened to Friends of Park Lake, and we suggested this, and they didn't get approved or whatever, and we think it's something they.
Well, they wouldn't be asking for permission.
And the term redundant comes
Right,
up.
they wouldn't have to.
They do what exactly
They
what we
could-
were doing, just get told no differently.
Yeah.
I mean.
No, they wouldn't be told because they wouldn't be asking, because they wouldn't have to. They wouldn't be under the direction of
If
the
they
township.
don't do anything different, you'd still have to come to the board to get any big changes done if they want it done.
Not if they do things, I mean, some things certainly, if they wanted them to take place within,
Right.
but things that, for the community as a whole, like going to Bronner's, things like that, they'll just get a bus and go. They don't have to ask.
Yeah, my recommendation in that is not about respect, it's about autonomy. that this group would be autonomous from the township, and some of the things that are frustrating you about bureaucracy, permissions, relationships, would not be the problem with that organization. They could raise their own funds, do their own things, advise you all on the advisory board, advise staff, but they would have the autonomy to do what they want to
So
do.
you're telling me the Friends of the Senior Center can advise the staff?
Sure.
Advise that staff or Karen?
Either. At that point, they're an independent entity that can do, frankly, whatever the hell they want to do.
Like any taxpayer.
Right.
Okay, I want on this committee and on that one.
That's,
And it's getting ignored the same as we're getting ignored, so
Not
that's
the way you're right.
Why don't we all do two groups? We'll call one group one name and one group another name, and I'll have to stay away because I'm on the board, and we can just all.
okay, I would just like to know.
no sense.
You don't have to do this. I'm just giving you a recommendation of something that I think will help solve some of the problems.
Okay.
Obviously, the relationship breakdown, the communication, the respect has to be healed, but I don't think that will solve all the problems that you're frustrated about. So I'm trying to park some of those over here in an idea that you could love or hate. I'm not going to do it. You don't have to do it, but it's an idea that exists out there.
Right.
The library also has a Friends of group that does this as well.
We
I
have
just have a question.
asked now, and we have let them know, we let it be known, that the seniors would like somebody from the library to come and do class once a month, once whatever. And how do we make that happen? We let them know, this is what we're asking for. Now, how do we make that happen?
You don't.
We don't, we can't.
Can we just go get somebody from the library to come?
No.
No, we don't.
That is a staff role. And I say that with all due respect to you. You all could, at some point, say, we're not being listened to, we're not getting what we want, this isn't the right place for me to serve, and send that message by resigning. I don't want any of you to resign, to be clear. But I think you do have a decision to make. If you have ideas that aren't being implemented, and it's enough to drive you crazy, it's not working, right?
Right.
That's a time that would probably send a signal to the board, there's some problems here.
So how do we get some of these things addressed? Some of the simple things, like name tags.
Yeah.
I've asked for them. I've asked for placemats.
Agreed.
Yeah, some of the simplest things that we would like to see happen. Where do we go? How do we ask for that?
And we're not the only ones that are asking, the seniors are asking.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it happens in these meetings with the staff member present, and I think what you're not hearing is a yes or a no on your ideas, and when it's a no, the reasoning why it's a no. Is that a fair assessment of what's
We hear
happening?
nothing.
We hear nothing.
Right.
And I think it's just disregarded. I don't think it's even a no. I think it's because it came from you, we simply won't consider it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you deserve, even if the answer is no, you deserve to be told, no, we're not going to buy name tags because we don't have it in the budget, whatever it might be, right? That's certainly a simple request and very reasonable. But you deserve to be able, even when the answer is no, there's some reasoning why it's a no.
And tell us it's going to be a no. Don't hang us.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
don't say it's not your place to even ask.
You're right.
Yeah, that's.
No, and I want to be clear, it is your place to ask, it is not your place to do. I think that's the differentiation, right?
They've been told, I've heard it, do not talk to any staff.
It's not okay.
Anyone at this table is not allowed, except me, I guess.
Listen, I heard from the staff, they feel disrespected by you, just like you feel disrespected by them.
No,
So I just want to be clear, right? I just want to be clear. I know that's frustrating for you. That is how they're feeling too. And the message to you should be, it is not your role to direct staff.
Correct.
But talk and advise staff, absolutely.
You're
that is
not
your role.
allowed to talk.
I
All right, okay.
I'm saying that's not right, Dana. I agree.
As senior, that was from the start, when I heard that we were not allowed to speak to staff. I was like, I don't have less rights as a senior in this community because I serve on this board. If I go up to someone and say, hey, people are saying that, this and this and this, I just want to give you a heads up, I just want you to know what some of the feedback has been, and I walk away. Certainly I'm not
Board rec can
directing.
make a decision here on this one subject, because it was told, I was there, do not speak to any
Yeah,
staff.
but that's not okay.
Okay,
It's not the right word.
He's addressed that. He said we need to fix that.
Yeah,
Let's
so how?
figure out a way to fix that. We don't.
We can't fix that.
Okay, how do we fix it, Ryan?
I will have a conversation with Karen about some of these concerns.
Okay.
But to be clear, I don't directly supervise Karen either.
Correct.
So in some ways, I'm just like you in giving advice.
Okay.
And we'll see what we can do about this. As I told you,
And-
last month I said very directly to Karen, we need to have this committee staff, and she agreed.
Okay.
So she hears these things, right? She
Okay.
hears what you're saying.
So, and all that, in your conversation with Karen, you also told us that we deserve an answer. So
Yes.
when you're done, when she discusses all this, we want the answer to some of our concerns.
Sure.
I want it timely,
Timely answer.
not at the 11th hour.
Yep.
Not just to say that she did, but something that actually demonstrates the respect of other people.
Also, we're open 5 days a week. What is the purpose of being 5 days a week if we're not going to offer some activity? We need something.
Well, okay, Dana and I went to that girlie that runs the senior center and said, we would handle this fiber arts is what we ended up deciding on. They can quilt, they can sew, they can knit, crochet, whatever they want. We would handle it. We would be there for it. Well, the next day, a note came out saying that we weren't allowed to plan any activities for the senior center. It's like, oh my goodness, just say, okay, no, thank you, but let's talk, let's just,
Yeah.
so to say, oh my God, somebody's feelings are hurt, our volunteers, we're not
Aren't
going
we
to
just throwing out ideas?
we're choosing.
I can't speak for them, but I also can't tell someone how to feel, right? Just like I can't tell you shouldn't have hurt feelings, I'm not going to say that to the staff. It's obvious that there's a breakdown here that we need to repair.
Right.
As I would describe how we feel as hurt feelings, I just think we're receiving unprofessional behavior.
Exactly.
We're just asking for it to be professional. And I guess what I don't understand, and this is why I believe that it's an attitude issue, not anything else. Nothing in my mind is not professionally legitimate. I don't feel it's professionally legitimate for us to be treated this way. We should be able to, as whether we're on the board, off, it doesn't matter. If we come to them and say, hey, we'd love to volunteer to do such and such, and if they say, you know what, put it in writing and let us know exactly how it would work, I'm good with that. That's a respectful response. And we say, like the movies, you know, I'd love to, and we've talked about this, like running the movie day. And, you know, I've got some fabulous movies, and so does Dennis. And we would love to do that. We could do the popcorn. We could manage it. And if we're offering, why are they offended by that?
They will let us.
It's like the answer is no, that's not your role. We're volunteering. We're volunteers who are stepping up and saying, we'll do the work, and we'll even explain exactly how we think that would work. Why is that not being received well? I guess I don't get that. And respected. To me, that's like gravy. If I'm doing a job and someone says, they'll come and they'll help me for free, and I can do what I'm doing and they can do that, and they're willing to go through with me how it would work and how it would function, which I think is an appropriate request to make. I guess I don't understand what the problem is.
Didn't I hear
To me,
something
that's-
on this at the board meeting? How, like I volunteered to take over the afternoon Thursday because I have Euchre there. And why is it that I can't do that? There's some,
Anytime there's people who don't work for the senior center in the senior center, that is a liability to the township. So a staff member should be there. That doesn't mean they're supervising you or babysitting you, but what if someone fell,
What about
we've got
working?
an emergency protocol, those things need to be handled by staff. So it is my position that we need to have staff there whenever there's people in.
Well, they used to play euchre on Sundays, and there was never a staff person there.
If they've rented the facility,
Okay.
then they don't need a staff
Okay,
member.
okay.
But, basically, if something happens over there to a volunteer, to a person, the township is liable.
Right.
And that is also a message I've communicated with Karen. I think we have to figure that staffing out. And I do think there is a way to do collaborative programming with staff, right? So that you all don't feel like you have to staff things, but you could be volunteers and support them. But it has to be hand in hand, right? It's not that you are doing it, but the staff is doing it, but you're doing it together. And that would be true of any volunteers.
Okay.
Exactly. And personally, because seniors are potentially vulnerable, I think there should be a vetting process. I think there should be a background check in any volunteer that works. I really do. You should make sure you don't have people going in there scamming them. There's all kinds of opportunity there, so we need to make sure that we're protecting that group of our population. And anyone that doesn't want to be vetted, usually that says something.
Becca, are you doing that in your programming?
Yeah, so we do that with coaches who volunteer for like the children's programs. They come in, they show their ID, we run it through for a background check. So that process is already a part of what the front desk does on a
That's like
regular
a night
basis.
check you run?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so we've already got a process to do that. I think you're absolutely right. We should protect these folks.
Yeah.
Make sure that the folks are volunteering.
Can I just ask a question about 5 days a week?
Sure.
We're thrilled that the senior center is open 5 days a week. Personally, I'm disappointed that the staff assigned to work those 5 days, or Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Wednesday afternoons or Monday afternoons, they're not putting together programs or activities that would stimulate our population and bring them in. To just be open 5 days a week and put a staff person in there behind a closed door doing whatever they're doing, I don't know what they're doing, and not participating, coming among the people, asking them what they want, putting up a movie and popcorn. I think that that's disrespectful to being open 5 days a week. I did hear in a township trustee board meeting Karen say that she was going to determine later whether or not the senior center would be open 5 days a week. I think we need to know what the criteria is that she's going to be using to make that decision. If it's based on programming or participation or activities or use, then it's important that we understand what that criteria is. I feel that way.
Yes, currently there's more or less a lack of participation on those days because there's no activity.
There's no programming and there's no activities. The door's open. I will say that the people that I visit with when I go in there during those Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're there for their own particular reasons. They don't feel comfortable at home. They need to be with friends. They're isolated. They're alone. They love being at the senior center. It feels like their second home. The criteria that will be used to determine whether or not 5 days a week is valuable really ought to include the value that being open 5 days a week brings to our community.
If being open 5 days a week is in the budget and the budget has been approved, why is this being dangled over our heads?
It is in the budget and it has been approved.
So then why is this being dangled over our heads and maybe it won't be open 5 days?
Well, that's what made Karen angry. Karen got angry when I was trying to share good news with the senior center. I was saying that the township trustees did not fund the addition, but the good news is they did fund the senior center being open 5 days a week, and the whole room erupted in applause. I mean, I've never received an applause like that. And I was not home 5 minutes before I got reprimanded by Karen for saying that the senior center would be open 5 days. Why did I say it? Well, it was in the budget.
It was in the budget and the budget was approved.
It was one belief that was the case. So,
The budget is a guiding document. It doesn't mean everything in there will happen. The chief administrator, Karen, does have to make those decisions. I'm sorry you feel that it's dangling over your head. That's not the intent of that. But she is now empowered to, within the budget, do those things. But she still has the authority to make the decision.
and who supervises her?
The board.
I thought the board voted to keep it open, though. I thought that was a board decision to keep it
We
open.
did, but what that means is up to the staff. Whether that's programming or food or movies, they're the folks who run the senior center.
But we're just talking about the fact it was going to be open.
That's all, yeah.
It said
Just the fact it was going to be open, not the programming, not all those other things that do concern us.
Yeah, I just would like to ask you to take a step back and think of it from another perspective. It probably felt to Karen and the staff like you got out ahead of them before they were ready to roll things out.
No,
And we-
they've not been in this
Just
senior
mention
center.
But folks, I'm just asking you to think from their perspective. I know you don't agree with it, but that's how they're receiving the information. So they're frustrated, and that's how the feelings get hurt. No intent, you weren't doing anything malicious, Judy, right? You thought you were, bringing good news to the folks.
Right,
But
there's
now
another-
it feels like Karen is backed into a corner.
There's a problem, she's not here. She has not, I think she's not been here since I've
been here for a year, not once,
To a meeting.
to this meeting to understand what these folks are doing. She's not been here.
Yeah.
Okay. And now she didn't even understand what we wanted, though. I'm trying to understand why just celebrating a decision that the Board of Trustees made would in any way back someone in a corner.
Because that wasn't the decision.
It says,
The decision wasn't to be open 5 days, you just said it was.
it says right here in the budget document, it says, salary increases due to being open 5 days a week. This is the budget that they have.
No, I mean, I'm
But Judy,
talking about the budget part,
you
I'm
run
talking about.
organizations, you know that the budget is a guiding document. It also says we're going to buy the land. We don't have to buy the land because it's in the budget. It also says we're going to buy a new tractor. We don't need to buy a new tractor. She has permission to do those things and the funding to do it, but she has to take that as the administrator and make those decisions. Some of them I'm not going to agree with, some of them you're not going to agree with, but that's how the structure of the budget is.
I have to apologize, I really thought it had just been voted on to be open.
No.
No, and
I really didn't understand the
If you had staff here at the meeting, you would know how that was working, and then we probably wouldn't have been in this situation. So
Yeah, so
I agree
you're
with someone
misunderstanding.
should be here. I don't know that the answer is Karen coming to your meetings, but someone who is empowered to make decisions, to support what you're doing, to get your questions answered. Again, I use the planning commission as an example just because that's where I sit. Karen doesn't come to those meetings, but we have the planner who comes. If there's any decision that is sort of over the planner's pay grade, he then takes it back to Karen and brings it back to the next meeting. So if it's not Karen, I imagine there's someone in the township who's empowered to make those decisions, who's familiar with the senior center, who can staff this committee.
That's another thing, I'd love to see some of our people come to the senior center and see what it's all about. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I hurt Taylor's feelings probably, what, 2 years ago now?
It wasn't 3 years.
But because I got upset about something that happened and I took it out on her. I did apologize to her, but I have not seen or heard from her since. And she quit coming after that.
We were told that she could not come.
Oh, she was not going to attend anymore because I hurt her feelings. Now, we have to,
how do you reset relationships when it starts like that? I've apologized to Karen. I've written her personal letters, handwritten her letters. Well, how do we reset relationships when we continue to try and we get nothing in response?
Yeah, we work on it.
okay.
How?
Parents, right? We
Okay.
can do divorce or we can work on the relationship.
Well, how?
I don't think divorce is an option for us here, so we're going to have to work on the relationship.
It is an option for her.
It is an option for
Yes,
us.
but I'm not filling out my form to be on this committee next year, so I guess that's me.
That is, yeah, that is a divorce.
Okay,
I mean, that's a choice you should make.
then I get it.
Oh, listen, that's a choice you should make, he says.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant, right? That's a choice we should make.
It's a choice you have, Judy, to serve on this committee. See, when you say things like that, I don't know that you understand how rude that comes off. And I think that's how the staff is feeling. Of course I'm not encouraging any of you to resign. You are really important people to this township. I value you. Some of you I've known for years and years. But when you make it sound like I was saying something devious, that's a turnoff. And I think that's what the staff is feeling.
But at the same time, the bottom line is the staff is that. They are the staff. They are the paid people to be here
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
support the volunteers that come here and give their time.
I agree.
And just the simple thing Dana and I did, we were offering to spend a whole day a month keeping seniors entertained and not asking for anything from anybody.
Yeah, I agree. We should have found a way to either make that work or you should have been told no and here's why we
No,
can't do
the
that.
blanket ugly grant came out saying, oh no, you guys can't plan anything. Well, it was like, oh my goodness. So I don't care if, I'm sorry, this is going to sound really hateful and rude and I don't mean it to be. If the staff is saying, oh my God, my feelings are hurt, I'm not going to work with them, then they can get a different job, just like I can volunteer somewhere else. But they're the ones getting paid to do it. We're the customers, essentially. There's no relationship like that at all.
Yeah, but as the customers, we don't have the right to tell them how to do their business.
But
We
as
might
a
not like it.
As a customer, we need to be treated with minimal basic
I totally agree.
respect.
I totally agree.
Absolute basic respect. I'm not even asking for hoop jumping or dancing in the rain or anything.
I agree.
Be nice.
Let me give you an example of something that I think is harder than it might seem. So the movie night is a great example, right? To show a movie in a public way, you have to purchase the rights to do that. And it's like $500 to $1,000 depending on how old the movie is. So that's a place where staff would have to be involved, right? Because you all don't have the access to the funds to make it happen. You have to get permission from the folks who own the copyright. It's an ordeal, right? So staff have to be, I agree, tell you, staff have to be involved. That doesn't make it a bad idea, but it does make it a little harder than just we're popping the DVD in and showing, popcorn and movies.
If they're not paying, then why is there a
Yeah, if they're showing a
copyright?
movie.
I've never heard of that. I always thought
I
it
used to run programming for a university. It's the law, it's a copyright law. You have doors open where folks can access the content, you have to pay for it. So I used to show it up on a big inflatable out in the center of the courtyard. Students didn't have to pay, but I had to pay to get permission to do that because of the copyright.
I don't.
So,
No, I'm telling you, that's the law.
Yeah, and I
Well,
will
home
that too.
movie, if we brought in one of our home movies, a DVD,
Yes.
how did we do the one at the park here?
We paid for the licensing. And it's so expensive. And I'm not saying that to say we shouldn't do it. I'm saying I love that idea, but we have to make sure we do it right and legally. Because that puts the township in liability to be sued by the folks who made the movie. And it seems like that's silly and would never happen, but I've seen it happen. The FBI raiding a school that was showing content that wasn't it. It's stupid, right? But it is the law. They got fined for it, and it was a big deal. So we don't want to put us at risk, and we don't want to put you at risk. That doesn't mean we can't do it. We just have to do it right.
Okay, and then, that's a perfect example is, okay, $5 or 10 people, $2 a piece, there's, $100 like that. I mean, people are willing to pay for something like that, but we had no, I found out earlier today, I found out,
We weren't gonna charge them.
No, I said, we can why don't we do fundraisers so we can have a stupid movie? So that's where our role would come in, or we would have,
No,
we
that's
would,
not
no,
our
we
role.
can't, it's not our role. It's say, okay, let's do a fundraiser, friends of the senior center, please do a fundraiser so we can watch a movie at the senior center.
Or, Dana, we just budget for it.
or what?
We just budget for it.
Budget for it. Okay.
Right? There's a programming budget. It might not include that this year, but we can start to build, what the programming should be. I don't want you all to feel like you've got to find money to make the township work, right?
Okay, so,
That isn't your role, and that's too much to put on you.
okay.
Right? I'm not doing that either. That's really, we've got a structure for doing that. So I don't want you all to feel like you've got to find money to do everything. We should be able to budget for it. And in fact, the senior center is the largest programming budget we have. That is the investment that we've put in the senior center because we do value what you're doing.
We do have a programming budget?
Yeah.
You don't happen to know what it is right offhand?
Well,
And
So
if
you should have it again.
we wanted to-
the program budget is specifically for programs,
Program costs,
costs?
It's something you.
$7,000. We never see a plan. I've asked Karen several times to come and talk with us about the plan for 2024, so we can find out how best we can fit into her plan for the senior center. She doesn't respond, only to say she's not coming,
So,
but it's hard to know how we could help with this program cost budget of 20, or what this programming cost is covering, because we don't get any communication.
We have money that we have fundraised. We could offer to pay 50%, but we
There's
don't.
$7,000 in here for programming.
But I just want to clarify that. You all don't have money. The township has that money.
We have raised money.
So you can't make decisions about where that goes, but you certainly could advise, hey, we could use some of our fundraised money for this. I just want to be clear in terms of decision making.
No, but the Senior Services Advisory Board has raised $37,000.
I'm well aware, but you don't control it.
right.
Whereas if you were, not you, if we had a friends group, they would control their money and be able to choose how to use it.
But if they offer to pay 50%, they still have to get an okay from.
Sure. Yeah. Or you rent the facility, right? You use some of your fundraised money to rent the facility to go around the township, use our own policies against us, sign up, pay the whatever it is, $100 to rent the facility, and do whatever the heck you want. I don't want us to devolve to that, but it is an option, right? It is an option to buy your own euchre game. It is an option to buy your own movie setup. I think we should be more responsive to you about those ideas, to be clear. I don't want you to feel like you should do all of those on your own, but it is an option.
I did personally go to Karen this summer when I had a question about the accounting on the fundraiser. And she was going to get together with the treasurer and would get back with me. I've never heard anything. Never heard anything.
Yeah, I want to make it clear, you all deserve timely, respectful communication. I would ask that you all give timely, respectful communication. I think that is sort of the basis for us to reset the relationship and move forward.
So we've been asking for popcorn and a movie for over a year. Would the money maybe be in the budget to do that this coming year?
It could be. I don't know the answer to that, so I don't want to make promises that I can't keep. But that's a fair question. What is the plan for the $7,000 in programming?
And that is right into what my question is. Can we see, as an advisory committee, what the $7,000 was spent on for 2023? Is that something that we can talk about, or is it not right?
Yes, but I just want to make it clear, you don't control the money. The information is advising based on that information fully within your purview.
Okay, so because I'm wondering if, like, the bingo prizes on Friday, does that come out of the $7,000? I would just like to see what that money was spent on, so that we.
In 2022, there was $11,000 budgeted for programming costs. In 2023, it was dropped to $7,000. And as of October 1st, the senior center had spent $3,345.65 of that $7,000. So there's a lot of money there.
Okay, so, and if we know what they spent this year, what they spent it on, then we can maybe go forward and make requests to, do we make requests, say, hey, how about spending
The language I would use, Dana, is you would make a recommendation.
Recommendation.
As a committee. And you could even make that formal to say, like, as a committee, we are formally voting to say we'd like to see this program. That doesn't mean it happens. I want to be clear, but that is very official. It does send a message both to the staff and the board that you all have strong feelings about that.
Okay.
That's a formal place you can take. I would recommend not doing that for everything, right? Because you sort of water down the power of it.
Yeah.
But if you feel really strong, you know, if it's 5 days a week and food 5 days a week, I think that is a recommendation you could vote on and kick it up to the board.
Okay.
If you take formal action on things, the board is supposed to receive that and act on it.
Okay. Recommend program, okay, for the senior center. So
Does the money that wasn't used in the budget roll over?
No.
So it's just because they didn't spend $4,000 in programming, it's gone.
It's not gone, it goes back into our fund balance.
Oh.
And for you all, you have a fund balance specifically tied to you, which is that fundraising money. That rolls over. That is in a different account saved for the senior operations. Again, not you as a committee, but you certainly could recommend how that's used.
So just for clarification, Ryan, you said the Senior Services Advisory Board takes a formal action on something, then we should send it up to you, to the Board of Trustees? Or were you saying that we should send that to Karen?
I think it's helpful for you to send it to Karen and I think the actual resolution that was passed says it goes to the clerk. So certainly you could pass that up to Brenda as well and CC Karen and I. You know, the more people that have it, I think the better. But the resolution says that if you make a recommendation, the board should act on that. But again, I want to advise you not to make a recommendation on, right, like, for us to vote on movie things probably isn't the best use of our time. But
So
for us to vote on you being able to do the bingo like we did, that seemed reasonable, right? What I don't want is the board to become the senior services board, right? Like, we want to hear recommendations from you, but not want to vote on everything.
Yeah, we recommend we take it to the grounders, it's not a good idea for me.
No, I mean,
I felt bad for
but like you recommend serving lunch 5 days a week, that is sort of a transformational budget, you know, changing programmatic thing that I think is appropriate for you all to feel about that.
So how?
I would start, I just want to say one thing, I'm sorry. I would start with the staff that you're assigned to, we'll figure out who that
We
is.
don't have a staff person.
Right, we'll figure out who that is. And if they're saying no, or you don't like that answer, that's the time where you could make a resolution to the board.
Well, this
You
staff,
want to build a relationship so that you could funnel ideas to the staff and they could say, yes, no, partner with me, you can volunteer,
Okay.
to organize that in a more holistic way.
Will the staff person that is assigned to us have a relationship with the senior center?
Yeah, absolutely.
Promise?
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna assign you the maintenance person. We'll assign somebody who has some decision-making authority over the senior center. But again, I wanna be clear, I think we should think about senior services more writ large and not just the senior center.
Okay, so how do we find out what they spent that $3,000 on?
I will ask that question, and I'll get a report for you, but in the future, Dana, it would be whatever staff member is assigned to you.
Okay, thank you.
In a very technical way, Dana, you could FOIA that information from the township. Again, I don't think that's the relationship we want to set up, but it is public information.
Oh, right, okay.
And certainly Sherry, as the board rep, can pick up the phone and call Karen and say anything she wants to, right? She supervises Karen as a member of the board,
Okay.
just like I do. So Sherry does carry some power. It's not instructional, right? She's not, just like I'm not able to say, Karen, go do this.
Right.
But I've got to believe that Karen takes the word of me and Sherry really highly.
Okay.
It would be not smart as a staff member not to do that.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Well, I know you gotta go, right?
Yeah, I actually am doing a television interview about the Norm Fasteners project, so I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much for having me in. This won't be the last time you see me. I gave you all of my email address. If you don't have my phone number, I'll give that to you as well. I want to have open communication. I think this is step one in repairing the relationship. I'll ask you to remember that there's hurt feelings on that side. I will ask them to remember that there's hurt feelings on your side.
Okay.
And I think that we just acknowledge that. It's the first step to moving through it and being more productive.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time, Ryan. Have a happy holiday.
Here's my cell phone number if you're interested, 517-898-6353. And maybe that could be bleeped out on the recording. I mean, anybody can call me, right?
Okay, thank you.
I welcome your calls, your texts, your emails, and happy to talk with you. I really appreciate the invitation to be here. I did rearrange my schedule to be here because I do think that you all matter very highly. I used to be a volunteer coordinator in a previous life, so volunteers are like at the core of my heart.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
We have at least a little bit more focus, a little bit.
Understanding.
Yeah, and a little bit more understanding of it. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
I move we adjourn.
What?
No.
No, I mean,
I don't know how you want to proceed from here.
I think we wait till the next meeting when the staff comes, and then we just carry on our normal meeting, and I don't know that we can do a.
I suggest maybe just motion in the meeting to get something like, make a motion at the next board meeting, a week from next week, that we have a staff member absolutely here. I want to hear the board say, yes. Now,
I personally don't think that's necessary because he has told us there would be one. So I think it would be kind of a stab in the back to do that
Like he
because
didn't have
he has
credibility.
told us there would be someone. I think we need to wait.
we all about that.
I think we need to wait till the next meeting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words at the top of my page. Our role. Staff at next meeting. The first thing he said.
And it will be someone that is connected in some regard, some way, to the senior center.
And if there
So
is,
I think we should take him at his word.
Yep.
And respect that he's given us his word, and we have to do that. We have to. This is part of
healing.
the healing. Is we need to show trust. If he doesn't earn our trust, we address that. But meanwhile, we respectfully trust him, and I want to be hopeful. I really do.
Right.
I want to be hopeful. But as far as journeying, what if we just like tokenly went through the topics and said, or whatever?
I was not serious.
I was hoping not. I was hoping.
I was kind of waiting to see if anyone would do that. Okay, so we're back to our agenda quickly.
Okay.
So we do have the minutes from the last meeting that Deb has provided for us. Yes,
Hi, Helen.
she's coming back.
Oh, okay.
Go bring the dog out.
Oh,
It says here on the second page that no one on the board gave us any names for the community conversation, people to invite except Ryan. Marie gave me the name of her neighbor.
Oh, okay.
So,
I missed that, sorry.
to your benefit.
Where are you on the second page?
This was on the second page under the first paragraph. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down. It says, no one on the board gave us names of people to invite except Ryan, who gave us, well, he gave me one name the day before, but Marie also gave me one name.
The printer was referring to the.
Was she on the board at that time?
Yes.
She was on the board, yeah. This was when we did the community conversation back in February.
Okay, so, and then here's the thing, so we were being told that we exist only to advise, and this is what basically what Ryan said, we can ask, but not direct. We are asking and advising, okay.
I think we've always understood that to some degree. The problem is to be told that you can't speak
Right.
and to not have professional, timely response is not okay.
But I was reading off the minutes, so, that's
Right.
like, so, yeah. okay.
Right, and that's, you know, yeah, we get that. And we did, no one ever thought we'd have every single thing our heart desired asked. So that's why after you said that a couple times, I thought, okay, we need to really have you understand, it's not our first rodeo. We're,
Yeah, we're an advisory board, and we just want to
well, and we're not,
give you some ideas on what we
I
can
hate
do.
to say we're not kids, but we're not kids. We've been in business. We've
So
served.
we all have full-time jobs.
Yes, and
Okay,
I've served on other boards, so I know.
we need to go back to the minutes, right, so, I'm sorry, I just.
No,
I move the adoption
So I
of the
got that
minutes.
correction.
With
I
that
documented the correction.
Any other corrections?
Let me real quick, duty to care neighbor told you that you cannot return, yeah.
Does anyone want to support her motion?
I second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you for the minutes, Deb.
Okay, I do have it, now this is off, this is, the minutes are closed. You know, I never said that several people went to the Purple Rose, but that was not a sanctioned senior center.
I'm sorry, Dana, but I
That
can't.
Purple Rose trip was not a sanctioned senior center, it was done by another volunteer.
That's right.
I do have a question. Is it possible to email us these minutes so that we have a chance to read them before the meeting?
That, yeah, because I don't want to print, I don't want to keep printing, so I can't really afford to do that.
Okay.
Right.
But what about if I get you the minutes, if you're good with them, then they get sent on to everybody, and how, do you want to do that? Do you want me to do that? Do you want to give me like a go-ahead?
With this one change that we just made,
Well, I mean, as a, how about going through the future?
We get them ahead of time,
oh,
and then we read them, and then we talk about them.
Right. yeah, you send those to me, I can send them on.
Oh, that sounds great. Okay, we'll do that.
Okay. Public comment,
Rebecca, didn't want to have any comment. So, old business, I put purpose, mission, and responsibilities. We do need to reestablish we do need to develop our strategic plan for 24. So, I just don't think we can get to that today.
right, I agree.
So I would just pass on that right now. Do you have any comments that you want to make, Sherry, BOT representative?
Not really.
Don't you want to talk about the plans to the board?
Where to begin?
Just begin.
That I was never informed about the plant that's coming to Bath, this huge fastener plant. And talked to several neighbors, no one else heard about it. I tried desperately to get the news media to come to the meeting. I was the only nay vote on rezoning for the plant. And I was only invited 3 days before the vote to go meet the Turkish fellows and be informed of the whole size of this 20-acre footprint. The board never informed me about it.
Was it ever discussed at a board?
Nope, not while I was there. I missed one meeting.
Let me ask you a question. Aren't there letters sent out when you try to rezone something to all the neighbors? There is.
Yes, I think the neighbors right touching it
Yeah.
were informed.
I think it's within so many miles, I think.
Yeah, I don't know the law.
That hasn't been done, correct?
But all the board members knew about it except one.
So how do you correct that?
Got me. I really don't understand it all. And then when I brought up PFAS, I was looked at with incredulity that they'd never discussed it or heard it. And a few of the neighbors went. And then that day I was then invited to go to meet the Turks and see so I would be convinced, and I continue with my no vote. Personal feeling, and this just happens to be going in right across the street. And I think
From you? No,
right from the factory plant, right across from the factory, this 100 new units. And I think, like I said, I tried to get 610 and Fox. There was a short report on the news, and then there was a thing came out today about how great it is that Norton Fasteners is coming to town.
And it's not so great because of the contamination.
Well, I have my own feelings about it,
Yeah.
but yes, that's one huge concern. I talked to the federal government, I talked to the leading toxicologist in New Hampshire, gave me an hour of his time on Thanksgiving weekend to talk to me about PFAS, and that Michigan, in case you guys don't know, is the worst state in the nation. Not by a little bit, by a huge margin. They have scorched earth, many farms around Howell area because of contamination. That one steak out of a cow that ate on this ground would be over your lifetime input of PFAS. And we're bringing PFAS to Bath. I believe we live in a swamp. One of my things to think about doing, and this really doesn't have to do with the seniors because it's going to affect everybody, is our people need to know that this is being discussed at the board meeting. Every person in this township needs to know. I don't know how to do this except flyers in everybody's door.
This is scheduled to start in this next spring.
The rezoning was already approved last week.
And they're supposed to start with this program or process, whatever.
But I believe that's true.
Building 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether they have to
Complete
pass,
25.
whether they have to pass more zoning to get to that point, high industrial use, I don't know. But the footprint is 20 acres of building. The building itself is over.
I'm sure, didn't you want to know who sold them that land?
Oh, I already know. Who sold them that land?
Kessler.
You can say that out loud. It was Kessler, wasn't it?
No, I'm asking.
I believe it was Kessler, but I'm not.
That's what I was told.
I didn't see the paperwork, so I guess I can't really say that I know for sure. But I understand that one person bought that whole section from the freeway all the way through there. My feeling is our township people need to know this. This was not publicized until I saw yesterday, came on the news source. But none of these discussions were input from our people that live in this township. Why do we live here? And to me, agriculture is what my degree is in. We live in a swamp. And it's very, very different in terms of poisoning our land. And we need to get the word out. And I know that's not quite senior services, but...
No, but it's your responsibility. You are bringing us the Board of Trustees update.
Yeah.
That's what the agenda item is.
Yep.
Karen obviously isn't here to talk about the plans for 2024 for the senior center. Beck said, do you want more comment? Do you want any comment, Beck?
No, I'm good.
I'll call for retirement.
Can I put that on the agenda again for next month,
Okay.
number 9?
Oh,
Of course.
I have a comment.
Dana.
I happened to look at my tax bill, and in the tax bill was the newsletter, and there was 4 activities, and then there was a couple things under just notes about things. And 2 of the 4 activities in that newsletter, on that newsletter, were senior center activities.
It reminded me I needed to call and make a reservation for the seniors,
Yeah.
the Christmas
And
meal.
and that's what, one of them was 4, and the other one, I don't even remember what it was.
Open
That's
5
funny.
days.
Some people are getting the news out there, the senior center, but we can't get anything out of the township. But 2 out of the 4 activities, which is great, but it should be.
So is everybody in this room going to be in this room again next year?
I am still here.
So here to the end of next year.
Yeah.
That's my correct.
I think me too. On the senior advisory advisory board, how long are we here till? I'm here next year.
And who reappoints us?
The
Who
board.
reappoints us 2 or 3 years?
It's 2 years.
Everyone has an appointed period of time that they serve. I know I was appointed in December last year.
Who appoints you? The supervisor?
Ryan, I mean the supervisor.
So we get reappointed after our new elections, is that right?
You will be told when your term expires.
You don't have a term because you're representing the board.
But the supervisor puts me here.
Correct.
But now, do we all get, just, I don't care, but,
We're all at different times.
but we have we're all at different.
Yeah, we're staggered.
Yeah, mine are started in December.
This
Maria
year?
appointed me before she left, because there was an opening, and she said, why don't you take that?
So you're only here this month?
So I already got a letter that said, if you want to reapply, no, not a chance. I can beat my head against the wall at home with no satisfaction. This was ridiculous. I think it's rude and inexcusable the level of disrespect this committee has shown. And for him to say, oh, feelings are hurt. At this point, I don't care, because we're volunteering, we're trying to do stuff. When Dave and I go over there and offer to do something, and then the letter comes out and says, you're not allowed to plan anything for that. Say, well, then why are we on the senior services committee? Why don't we go pick a new kindergarten committee?
When you're a public servant,
It's ridiculous.
people are going to say their opinions to you. Yeah, you shouldn't be yelled at, you shouldn't be sworn at, you shouldn't be called names. But if they say things you don't like or you feel they're rude, that is just unfortunately too bad. You are a public servant. And to say your feelings are hurt, so now you're what? You're not going to do your job or be professional is not an acceptable defense.
He gave them the defense.
I agree. That's not a defense, that's not, but we're not saying our feelings are hurt, we're saying we don't appreciate the disrespect, and it's clearly disrespect. And it's unprofessional to never respond. We have questions, you don't respond.
He expects us to reset the relationship and they won't respond?
Yeah, that's not, no, unfortunately, it's unfortunate. I mean, this is a societal thing. There are a lot of people who feel like if you say, well, this is not, if you hold someone accountable, you're hurting my feelings. That's too bad. I'm sorry. When I was at LabQ, during COVID, they took away our drinking water. And I said, well, you can't do that. Oh, yeah, you have to bring your own. I said, no, OSHA requires you provide drinking water. I hurt their feelings. That's unfortunate. You know, that's really too bad. The law is the law, and if I say that's not okay, and it's an undue burden on me, I have the right to feel that way, to state those things. They are facts. And this is the kind of situation we're in. But we're saying things, we're saying we want to volunteer, we want to help, and they're saying, I'm sorry, all I keep hearing is you're not the boss of me. That's all I keep hearing by the way they respond to us. That's not professional. You know, just say, we'll take it under advisement. Well, whatever. You can respond and still be really rude to us, but you can still be professional in your response. Rude as in disregarding what we say. You know, she still has that power. I get that. But the way she's wielding that power is really unfortunate. And it's not necessary. Everyone deserves better. Everyone in this town deserves better.
And they're obviously encouraging that kind of behavior. I mean, really, they push the person out that we elected in. And it's like, wait a minute, what the heck is that?
Oh, right. And when he said there are hurt feelings on both sides, I'm sorry that they're getting paid. That's their paid position.
They're paid.
You know, I taught my children since they were little. You don't have to like everybody, but you have to be polite. You don't have to like
So as a
everybody.
board
You have
member,
to be
what can
polite.
I do?
And it doesn't matter. I mean, they're in a position where now, if we hurt their feelings, we're sorry, but
You're on the outs too, I hate to tell you that, Sharon.
Oh,
You're on the
I'm
outs.
way out. I have been left out of board decisions.
Yep, I know.
And that's against law. Federal law.
So then
Maybe I need to go to the district attorney because I just was so frustrated.
Yep, and that's your recourse to do that. Because you're out.
Oh, I know. I was number 2, but then Marie.
They got dropped one out.
I know, one.
Now you're one,
Yeah, I'm on the hit list as far as I'm concerned. I feel that way.
Well, but previous examples tell you, if you're on a hit list, you
I won't come into this building alone. I will not walk into this building alone, just so you all know, because Marie was falsely charged, and I'm now enemy number one. I wasn't a witness, yeah, I won't do it.
When I used to come here, I never left my dog in the car. I brought my dog in with me, and she just wandered the halls because she had favorite offices to go to. I wouldn't do that now.
Oh, no. Your dog would probably bite
All
somebody.
that is a tragedy.
Even though it can't see them, it would probably bite.
We have a problem in this community, I think, a big one.
But it's.
Well, there has to be accountability.
Thing.
We have to be able to say, we're not happy, and this is not professional. It's just ludicrous to say, and that hurts my feelings.
But when you
That's just too bad, I'm sorry. Then you're not in the right position.
When you listen to Ryan, Ryan held us equally as accountable. And I don't think any of us have been rude going to anybody. We have gone out of our way. We were nice when we went out there to her.
Oh, I know.
And I mean, we were offered to do everything for her.
But I did hurt Taylor's feelings a long time ago. It's been at least 2 years.
It wasn't Taylor. Who was that kid that we talked to?
Oh, no, that was Jenna, the director, the coordinator for the senior center who we talked to.
Like I said, I went in there with the drivers and some canes and walked in, looked around,
Nobody.
not to meet me at the door. You know, we've asked for corkboard, name tags, greeter.
Is she holding out till we just do it ourselves?
Oh, yeah.
We've kind of,
We really don't want to cross those lines. We really want to show respect for what our role is. I think all we can do is go to our board and say it's not, if this behavior continues where we are not even responded to in a professional, timely manner, I think then we need to call for changes in staff.
Document. This is what I told Nancy a while ago. Document. Every time you email somebody, every time you call somebody, the time period, do it a second time, how long you waited. It needs to be documented so that we can say, well, I emailed her 20 times. Oh, no, you didn't. You emailed her twice. You know, and have the documentation. And that was done. Yeah.
But I brought this up to a forensic person involved in cybersecurity, and they said that what I'm saying here is that I wasn't informed of things. My email from the township can be changed by the ET guys, and I was told to put a forensic documentation of what was on my computer, so that if it's changed, I've talked a long time with the state police about doing that, because I'm afraid to be framed. By whom I don't know, and they said they can't do it until there's an ongoing investigation. But that's how much I've looked into it. I asked for an agenda item on a meeting. I sent it to all the board members, Karen, everybody, and it was not off. So,
Yeah, I don't.
Well, in that case, I would copy that email and a copy of the agenda item and go and find out why. I mean, documentation. I mean, it's
right, that's true.
It's frustrating when you just want people to do what they're paid to do. That's all. Just do what you're paid to do. Be professional. Just be, I'm not even asking for nice, just civil, just professional.
Respectable.
Wasn't this a fun meeting to come to? Aren't you glad?
She's like, wah, wah.
But that Ivor Arts Day though, there was seniors that they're the reasons that we changed it to we started, Dana and I sew. So we started off just quilting. And there were seniors that heard us talking and were like, oh no, I crochet or I knit.
Yeah.
So they were all for the idea, and it would utilize the center and the.
I just got an incredible, brilliant idea.
What?
When we have things like that, we just do a flash mob. Right? All of a sudden, everyone pulls out their sewing bags and they just get started.
That's right.
And it's like, what happened? And we just said, it's not explained. It's like when everyone all of a sudden starts dancing, and or starts singing or whatever. We have a sewing flash mob. It could work.
I showed Dorothy how to do a bag that I knew how to do, and I met with her on a Tuesday. Now, if somebody else wanted to learn how to do that, they could have done it too.
Well,
So
how
I
come you
think
didn't tell us?
Huh?
How come you didn't tell us?
It has to be on the down low. We need to learn about these things.
I still can.
We We need to ask the young folk.
I think we just need to get together. Just talk amongst ourselves. Do you want to study? Do you want to knit? How about Tuesday about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever? You know, and
Just do it as the point is as individuals. Do it as individuals. It's not organized. It's a spontaneously appearing activity.
or you can do whatever you want to.
Exactly right.
So
As long as it's not organized, that's the workaround.
For him to suggest creating another committee that can do more, give him the right.
and fundraise.
And who's gonna,
Yeah.
again, do they understand how hard it is to find dedicated
Let's
volunteers?
adjourn this and continue to talk.
I called for adjournment.
Oh,
One second.
I don't, I'm sorry, I have issues as the note taker that I need to ask questions. Can we put that on pause? So we didn't talk about the treasurer's report. There is none because neither are here, correct?
Yep.
So let me write that, thank you all. Old business, we were gonna talk about the chairs. We did not. Remember the chairs and how many were, and that there had been a count taken? And when there was supposed to be?
85 chairs.
But that's why there's only 81, 71 in the Zoom.
There's 71 present, and I thought it was 89. Am I wrong?
About 85 chairs.
Was 85 bought?
Yep.
And we only can count for 71. Well, we need to document that, if that's all right.
Because the capacity at the senior center was 85, so we bought 85 chairs.
So the question is, where are the rest of the chairs?
They look pretty familiar right behind you,
It's
Jamie.
more than that.
They look familiar, the ones right behind you.
No, those are too small. Those are the old ones.
The black?
The black ones are the older ones.
They're all on here too.
What about all these? They're just like the
Were they
senior.
Pilford?
No, they're not, they're small.
The
In
case
comparison to
Pilford
those
Senior Center chairs.
chairs.
I've been watching a lot of Agatha Christie lately. You gotta forgive me, y'all.
Okay, so.
I see just, mystery and everything. So, okay, so I've got that documented, thank y'all. And, the purpose, mission, and responsibilities,
Wait, put that off till next month.
that's off till next month.
Table.
Okay, tabled, yes, thank you. I've got the meeting with Ryan, and I've documented as best I could, because there was a lot of conversation
Yes.
going on.
Good job.
The new business, I put under there the fastener plant. Is that okay?
No, that
Or
was.
should that be somewhere
That's
else?
under the VOT report.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, no, I actually fixed that.
Yeah.
But new business, no, that's tabled?
Business today.
Thank you.
If you guys ever.
I appreciate this, honestly, you letting me do this.
You're gonna need another member. I'm not gonna reply.
You took
Can
some
we-
place, didn't
Can we put that on?
I don't know.
Oh, she took Doris's place, didn't she take Doris's place?
Well, it was a short term.
Right.
So no, there was no additional public comments.
No, she didn't take Doris's place because Doris resigned a long time ago. I think maybe Ben did. Because Ben was appointed, he thinks maybe in March.
All right, and then we move the superintendent report till next month.
Because there's no superintendent here.
Correct, not here.
You move that.
And then-
Send it out to me.
I think that might be what I needed, y'all, thank you. I appreciate that, you helping me make sure I've got
Is there a second for adjournment?
Our next meeting is fine.
And that'll be the third Wednesday of January at 1 o'clock. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all.
Merry Christmas. I've got cupcakes for Christmas if anybody wants